Good afternoon and welcome to the IPPAI Captive Power Conference Series, which is being organized by the Independent Power Producers Association of India. We've had the first one on the 14th of September in Raipur, Chhattisgarh. 2 days hence today, that is 16th of September, we're having this in Bhubaneswar. And the best part of these series is that these are the emerging energy hubs of the country. We'd like to welcome to our show at this point of time, Shri P.K. Jena, who is the Energy Secretary of the state of Orissa. Welcome to the conference and the show, sir. So we'd like to know, given the fact that the state of Orissa undertook power reforms way back in the 90s and was the first Indian state to have done so, what has been in brief the experience of Orissa in these intervening years, and how is it how is it the fact that Orissa is again championing the cause of becoming a power hub and an emerging power hub for the whole of India now?
Yeah, Orissa was the first state to introduce reforms in the power sector, and it was the first state to disinvest state generation unit and took strategic investor as a partner. So since the reforms started in Orissa way back in 1995-96, we have seen excellent things so far as generation and transmission is concerned. And our generating companies, both Orissa Hydropower Corporation and Orissa Power Generation Corporation, are profit-making companies which are consistently operating at high PLF level. In transmission sector also there has been quite a good development, and it's somewhere very close to the national average. But in distribution sector, yes, we had the first state to bring privatization in distribution, and perhaps we are the only one of the two states. Delhi was subsequently privatized. In distribution sector, we had 4 distribution companies, of which 3 are managed by Reliance Group, and one we had a strategic partner, AES. Subsequently, AES had to leave. In distribution sector, yes, there are still a lot of problems, but good thing is that in last 9 years of reforms, the consistency of availability of power to consumers has improved, the quality of supply has improved, and in last 9 years there have been no power cut in the state, and power tariff has remained constant. But at the same time, the aggregate technical and commercial loss has not reduced to the desired level. It's quite high, and there are a lot of things still to be done in distribution sector.
So there are states that have denied open access. Now, whereas Orissa is one of the states that is in fact allowing the export of power right across to Karnataka, through a dedicated line.
Yeah.
Now, what is the difference in the mindset over here? How come Orissa is being so export friendly while the other states are denying open access to power?
See, this is again, there was a time when Orissa was also power surplus, and naturally our surplus power has to be transported elsewhere. And Electricity Act also has certain enabling provision to allow open access. But then there at times we also have certain constraints, particularly times of acute power scarcity. Last year we had a major hydro failure, and in the summer we had some serious situations so far as availability of power is concerned. And that is the time when, though we had allowed open access to some of the captive power units, but then there was time when we had to also advise the power CPPs to give their surplus power to the state. So this is only in transition when there is some acute scarcity. We have a fair expectation from the CPPs to help us tide over our problem. But then this will be for a very transitional period, which may last for 1 or 2 years, and thereafter Orissa will be a state which will have huge amount of power to be utilized for the rest of the country. So till such time, even we have certain reservations about open access, not for any particular reason, but only to help us tide over our own energy needs.
Right, sir. So there is a fact that, for example, when you have acute power shortages, then the public at times reacts very negatively.
Yeah.
There are times when the power sector infrastructure is damaged, people go on the rampage and it becomes a law and order problem. Now, given the fact that the state has to balance this, it also has to take care of the needs of agriculturists and poor people who have to get some quantum of power, and every state figures out a way of how to give them that quantum of power. How is it that the short term, to tide over the short term, yet without sacrificing the long term interest? Because in the long term, if you don't set up enough generation capacity, you'll have problems 5 years or 10 years on, which has been the state, the case with other states in the past 15-20 years, even though of course Orissa was the first, the different case, they were the first pioneer state to undertake power reform. So how do you balance the short term and the long term?
Okay, this is a very critical issue right now for the state. Yeah, one hand, the state generates power, and if its people don't get power, naturally there is bound to be unrest, and the public mood will be different. So that is why we always work with the generators, particularly the captive power units in the state, and fortunately the captive power plants of Orissa have responded very well. Of course, with the support from the Orissa Electricity Regulatory Commission, their price aspects were taken care of, after which the captive power plants gave us about 250 to 300 megawatt of power. And captive power plants have one concern: when the market is skewed and there is a huge demand supply gap, and when the prices available outside the state is high, naturally they have to protect their business interest, for which they are asking for open access. But if their cost of generation and a reasonable amount of profit can be assured to them, we still hope CPPs would not mind supplying to the state. And this is one issue where we are continuously in dialogue, and as the state, we also facilitate their function in the terms of availability of coal, railway support and other supports. We also provide to them, and in lieu of that, they also, it's basically a quid pro quo sort of things, give and take sort of relationship. And if the regulator, state and the CPP federation can sit together and work out, iron out the differences, I think this should not be a problem.
So in that case, do you think it's a good idea if we have like a forum of captive power units and government meeting on a regular basis or on a bi-monthly basis or on an emergency basis to decide this so that there are no problems and everyone's interest is taken care of?
I think that would be a very interesting idea. In fact, this is what informally we have started doing it in Orissa, the CCPPO and state government. We meet very frequently. And that is how we try to appreciate each other's problems and concerns and try to address it. And if we can develop a formal system, it will be a very, very good thing. And all the problems, the transitional problems, for us, we feel that the entire whole power sector thing is passing through a transition. And maybe the demand supply situation can improve after another 7, 10, 15 years. But till such time, we have to balance the needs of the people, the needs of the state, and also the needs of the business and houses and the entrepreneurs.